The following podcast is brought to you by National Sawdust and OpenG Records. I'm Chris Grymes, and today we're touring the brand new National Sawdust performance venue in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. So here we are with Paola Prestini, Artistic Director of National Sawdust. Good to have you.
Thank you very much.
And we're going to take a little walkthrough of the hall right now. So Paola, why don't you tell us what we're looking at? We're in the main auditorium part of the hall, so what
Great.
are we looking at exactly?
So we are about 5 weeks away from opening, and what you see right now is essentially the main hall. We're standing in pretty much the soon-to-be completed hall, and you can see that there's this shell that goes all around, which we just painted black, and I'm very excited about that. We are waiting for perforated panels, which are white, that will go over this shell, and that essentially will then be able to hide and house all of the electric paneling and electric work that that obviously goes into the space. You also have the speakers up here, which has just gone in, and also back there. And you see over here something which I'm really excited about, the stage, which works. I think that's actually the piano lift. So it goes up and down, and that's for our 7-foot Bosendorfer. Nice. And yeah, we have the floor in, which is very exciting. It's covered right now so that we don't scratch it, but they're sanding it in the next couple days. Right. And that's where we are.
Pretty cool. I mean, it's definitely, we should say that we're in an active construction zone, so if you hear pounding and saws and all that kind of stuff, it's because stuff is actually being built here as we speak.
We should actually say if we don't hear pounding or stuff, we should be very worried.
All right, so let's just take a look at this floor, at the stage for a second. So all of this stage is modular, right?
Yes.
The stage can be, say, the size of a single piano to...
To actually this entire configuration right here that you see. So it can fit up to basically like a 30-person orchestra on the stage, and it can be coplanar with the floor as it is now, or it can rise to give
slightly.
Exactly. It can rise actually all the way to what we have here.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so it can rise extensively, and then of course you see the balcony up there, which is also where people can sit. The balcony, altogether, the space seats in kind of traditional theatrical setting about 175.
175.
Yeah, and about 125 if you have cabaret tables and you want to eat and take advantage of the restaurant.
Let's mention that.
Yeah.
And we can kind of look over here, even though again we're in an active construction zone. We could see the lobby, which actually is going to be part of the connection between the hall
and the restaurant.
Yeah.
So what we're going through right now is actually a really, really beautiful door that's going to be. It's an acoustically isolated sliding door that goes up and down, and that essentially conceals the space from what's going on out here. And I should mention that one of the things about the space is that the whole thing is built on springs. And the springs are there in order to basically give you the PNC value of the world's finest recording studio. Right here, we're going into essentially what is a very tall lobby. And we have our ticket booth to the left and our bar to the right.
Yes,
and then this, and this leads into the bottom area of the restaurant, which is more of a bar-like area and much more casual, where we hope that patrons will go in and be able to have a drink before or after a show and continue the conversation that hopefully the performance invokes.
Now let me ask you an important question. Will if the conversation is being continued, will the drinking be continued?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah?
Inside and outside. Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
I like
the
it very
restaurant
much.
is headed by Patrick Connolly, who's a young James Beard Award-winning chef, and it'll actually open a few months after we open. So we're kind of taking one step at a time. Right. We'll start with the space, and then we'll open the restaurant a few months later.
So my next question leads into the previous question. Will the bar be open?
The bar will be open right away. In some form or another, the bar will be open.
Let's go downstairs and take a look at that spring, and also maybe the recording studio.
Excellent. So right now we're walking down into the basement. You can actually see the springs that I was talking about earlier, which essentially suspend the whole space.
Cool.
They're very impressive, and you can see the metal chassis, which essentially show you where it's called a box-in-box construction, and where that begins.
What is this?
These are the metal pillars, and these are the springs that essentially suspend the space.
Wow. That's very impressive. And so it's all on basically 6 sides of the cube.
Yeah.
Like this.
Exactly.
So even in Brooklyn, where you might, as we have had earlier today, squeaky trucks and rumbling trucks and all sorts of stuff happening on the street, it's not going to matter.
No, our architect Peter Zussman likes to say that if a semi-truck hit something outside, you would not be able to hear it in here.
That is pretty miraculous.
Which is why it's, you know, essentially a recording studio. So it's a space where you can be doing live recordings, you can be doing, you know, recordings that you set up during the day, and it has that same value of acoustics as the world's finest recording studio.
And does that include, say, live streaming of those
Eventually
things?
as well, yeah. That's not something we'll probably do from the beginning, because I think it's really important that we test out and tune the space,
right?
And then, you know, take one step at a time.
But eventually, using that same high-level equipment, you're going to be broadcasting live to the world in basically the highest level recording quality.
Yes, for the performances that want it, yes. There are, you know, obviously many different kinds of artists. Some artists who really want to maintain the mystique of the live performance, and will respect that, obviously.
Oh yeah.
But for many young artists, that's a definite calling card and a way to really increase audience and increase awareness, and so we'll definitely look forward to that.
And that's especially something that you look for, because your other venture, Vision into Art, among many ventures, but your other major venture, it is about integrating all the different kinds of different art forms into one, and
absolutely,
sort of or not into one, but appreciating all of them.
Yeah, into a theatrical experience. Absolutely.
Excellent. Let's check out the studio. So
now we are in the mixing room, which is coupled to the main space. So you can be mixing down here while live performances are going on upstairs.
Is that all through this? Is this the sort of...
It's all coupled.
Oh wow, look at these tables.
So you can... Exactly. It's
oh man.
It's going to be pretty wired up in here.
Yeah, I'd say.
And you can also hear that it's also another...
It's going to give you a report of what this acoustic sound will sound like.
Exactly.
It does. It's very live in here.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we've seen the space and seen what the building is, let me ask you, as the artistic director, what's going to happen here? So what is National Sawdust?
So National Sawdust is a 24/7 home for musicians of all styles, both emerging and established, that essentially really helps foster and nurture a community of artists. The kind of systems of support, as I like to call them, that we offer for emerging artists include commissioning, mentoring, marketing support, long-term strategic planning, and then of course the gift of the space itself, which is an acoustically rich space that we give to our curators and to our groups and residents and partners, you know, kind of free reign to basically curate and express themselves in. It's an artist-led space, so I've chosen those partners and groups and residents and artists in residence very carefully, because they're essentially the ethos of the space.
The people who perform it.
And the people who perform in it. And what I really look for is curious listeners. When I'm choosing the kind of immediate web, if you will, of artists with whom we work with, I'm looking for people that not only are tremendous artists themselves, but that have a deep sense of curiosity and respect and generosity when it comes to their colleagues and to the way they listen. And that helps us in turn continue to expand our community and to, you know, get to know artists across genres and cultures, and what I think it's what I think will make a very vibrant and unique space.
Let me ask you a couple of questions about a couple of things you said. You said that for emerging artists, they'll be able to be mentored and that kind of thing. Who's going to be doing the mentoring? Well,
we have essentially different partners and our own staff that will be helping through a program that we call Next Steps. That Next Steps program is essentially one-on-one training. It's also an internship program that we offer to, at the moment, specifically Stanford University, but that eventually will be open to different universities and different students. But essentially staff-led, and also different artists that, that come in and give certain lectures, different partners, and those partners include Carnegie Hall, for one. So it's essentially a composite of different ways in which we can create a very rich and nurturing environment.
Cool. The other question I wanted to ask was about curating, and we hear a lot about that, curating and curation. What does it mean for National Sawdust to have curators, and what does it mean to curate something besides, you know, oh, I think this stuff is cool and I think people should see it? What does that mean on a deeper level?
Well, I think what it means is that essentially the curators end up representing the space, and so it essentially means that if you like, for example, someone like Theo Bleckman, you may like and want to go down that route of his taste. And so it essentially allows you to discover new sounds and new artists through things that you might already like.
I see.
And so that kind of web expands and creates a world unto itself.
It's quite a bit like social media, where you might see something that your friend posted and go,
Exactly.
I had no idea that even
Exactly.
existed, and all of a sudden you're into that.
Exactly.
That too. So let's talk about the kinds of artists that are going to be coming in. We're opening October 1st.
We are opening October 1st, and
which,
that,
as of this taping or as of this broadcast, is
5 weeks
exactly
away.
a month away when we put it out. It's going to be
that's
on
right.
September 1. We're
Yeah.
going to put this out. So
So October 1st, we are opening with a solo piano performance of Stephen Gosling, who's a wonderful pianist. And it goes into Chris Thiele, Nico Muley and Bryce Desner, an extraordinary Inuit throat singer named Tanya Degak. And it really travels and explores the acoustics of the space. So it essentially goes from the raw space itself, where you get to hear the piano, an extraordinary opera singer named Yves Gigliotti, all the way to the most extraordinary kind of rich electronic palette.
Interesting.
And then the second part of the evening, we have an incredible steel panist, Andy Akiho, who's one of our curators. That goes into a great, great band called Shibomato. And then a third act, which I can't say, but it's going to blow everyone's mind off.
okay, very cool. And the whole first month is really sort of loaded with
Yeah.
all sorts
All the
of
groups in residence, labels in residence, OpenG, for example, curators.
OpenG Records at opengrecords.com.
There you go. So yes, essentially our immediate community is really definitely represented in the opening month, as much as we could and as much as they could, because everybody's busy.
And then, of course, the whole season, and just from now on, starting October 1st, it's basically like
Every night.
it's on.
It's on.
And one of the good things that's really, first of all, this building is in a great neighborhood and a really interesting part of that neighborhood. And New York has lost a couple of venues recently that sort of not necessarily cater to the same music that we're going to present, but a similar vein. And it's nice to have, better than nice, it's amazing to have this kind of venue now step into the gap, which is actually pretty big right now for having serious art music in New York City that's new and fresh.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. That basically gets to the things that I wanted to talk about with you, but let me finish with a personal question, which is, we work together, I'm on the board with you, and we're professionals together, and I'm amazed by how much you do. You're the artistic director here. You basically started and run your own multimedia label, Vision into Art. You're a constantly working composer. You're a mom. What time do you get up in the morning, and when do you go to bed? What is your day like? I can't even...
It's definitely a lot busier than I anticipated at the moment. So I'm not going to lie and say, oh, it's super easy. But nothing happened at the same time. So these are all threads that I've been developing my whole life. And so I don't see them at all as things that work separate of each other.
I see.
They're all facets of who I am. So it's very natural for me. If it weren't, then I would probably be going crazy.
Right.
I think, it's that same thing. Being a mom is a very natural thing for me. I love it. I enjoy every moment. I wake up a lot earlier than most people, and I go to bed a lot later than most people. But
at least for now.
But just for now, exactly. That won't be forever. And it's an exciting moment. To be given the gift to open a space like this is nothing I could have imagined. So I have that responsibility to just make sure all the parts of the puzzle work.
I see. All right, well, Paola, I want to thank you for talking with us today.
Thank you, Chris.
I want to invite all of you guys to check out nationalsawdust.org. again, this whole facility opens on October 1st, and then it's on. So please come visit us at nationalsawdust.org. Check out the lineup, check out what we're about, consider supporting us, and we hope we'll see you soon.